So, the old exhaust is out, and you guys know what time it is? It is time for the mandatory no exhaust start. Let's hear this thing. That actually wasn't too bad or excessively loud, so I'm pretty hopeful for the new exhaust. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, what is up, the people of the YouTuberverse once again? Okay, so getting straight into things, what you guys saw us do previously was we pulled the old exhaust out of the car, right? So we started putting the new one in, and just when we got there, or got to putting the catback pipe in, well, not the catback, it's from the downpipe. So this is a whole new system. So firstly, the rattle in the car was definitely from the cat, I'm assuming, because we revved the car with it off, as you guys heard, no rattle, which means that it sounds like the cat was going all inside. So yeah, carrying on from what we're doing. So from where the flange connects to the downpipe itself, the mounting holes are actually off. So I'm assuming this has to do with the fact that we have the T25G turbo instead of the T25, and this downpipe was fitted on a T25. So I'm just assuming that's what's happening. So what we're gonna do first, well, not, yeah, probably first, we're gonna cut this flange off, rotate it to the right angle. I'm gonna decide how we're gonna do that. We're gonna see, maybe we're just gonna like aim it here on the floor next to the old exhaust and just kind of get the right angle. Maybe we bolt it onto the car and tack it in place. That's probably the right way to do it, but you know. So we need to do that, and then the next things, we have our 3D printed intake adapter plate. So this is going to go onto the MAF on this side, and then this slots directly on there like that. This is ABS plastic, which is the same plastic that was used for the stock intake box, right? So we know that this can withstand engine temperatures. Then we can connect up the actual intake pipe itself. This is for the breather from the, whatever those things are called, cam covers, right? And then we need to figure out how to fit this onto the actual turbo itself. So that's the second thing we're doing today. Maybe we just start with that so that we get, you know, a little bit of momentum going there. I'm going to paint this so that it's not bright yellow in our engine bay. Then the next things that we actually have are these little pod things for our air vents. So as you guys can see here, I went and fitted one already, trying to see if it worked. I'm going to have to pull this off because this is 52 mils. These are 53 roughly. Somewhere like that, so it doesn't really fit, so I'm going to pull off these adapters, and then it kind of just sits in here like this. So we're probably going to paint these black so that they match a little bit better, but there was no point in getting these because we had nowhere to adapt them to. So we went past Corian yesterday and we picked up, haha, anyone know what this is? So this is the oil filter sandwich plate, right? So where the current oil filter is, we'll screw that out, we'll put this on here, we put one of these guys through there, we bolt it down, and then we put the oil filter on this side. This one is specifically made so that we can run an oil cooler, which we aren't going to do right now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to loop that back, and then on the sides here we can run our oil pressure and oil temp off that. So the reason I printed these yesterday is so we can get those installed with all of that. So starting somewhere, let's start somewhere and let's get going. Okay, so we have never welded before in our lives, and I was going to do the first test piece on the actual exhaust itself, but we decided, let's test it out over here. Don't know any of the settings, don't know anything. This is literally the first time we've ever welded, let alone MIG welded. This we're using flux core. The idea is to just tack weld the flange on here, and then basically just get the angle right, flip it around, and then weld it all in place. So let's start off and try and weld just these two little angles together. Oh, I just realized you guys can't see the exhausters there. But yeah, let's try and get these two welded together. Let's just see how it goes. Let's try and dial in some settings. We don't have much steel to work with other than the exhaust, so yeah, let's just try stuff, guys. Let's try stuff. So I think we didn't do all that badly. So if you guys see the second line, or the one at the bottom, it's genuinely not that bad. So I think, and there's also like very little slag. I don't know why, but very little slag. The one closer towards me, to tilt this thing is very difficult. But yeah, not that bad. For it's literally my first time ever welding, ever. So I'm gonna put you guys on a time lapse. Let's get this thing tacked up. Oh well, I'll tack it up with you guys here, and then we'll put it on a time lapse, and I'll weld it up on the other side. We don't need to be 100% accurate, and you know why? Because a degree off isn't gonna throw us off. This thing isn't 7 kilometers long. 1 degree isn't gonna make much of a difference. I'm just gonna basically line them up next to one another, get the angle right on the one, get it on the other one, tack it in place, and then turn it around and weld it up. That's the plan. So, hindsight being what it is, when the flange was at the wrong angle, I should have asked myself more, and if I had just done it the correct way, by cutting the flange off and then mounting it and then tacking it in place, I would have noticed that the bolt holes didn't line up. Yeah. So, what we need to do is we need to cut the flange off the old exhaust and put it on the new exhaust. So, tomorrow. Yeah. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow then. Okay, so it is now I think the 3rd day or something that we're working on this exhaust. But instead of cutting off the flange and then re-welding that on, what I decided to do was just drill out the hole slightly larger. So I didn't measure anything, I just drilled each hole slightly larger. let's just see. Hopefully this just fits on and we don't have to do anything else. So the sun's going down. Let me try and get this done real quick. Let's see how this goes. So, if we just did things the right way the first time, we wouldn't be in this predicament. Remember how I said the angle will be mostly right? It is mostly right. The only thing is the tolerance on this exhaust is a little bit less than I expected. So, we need to cut it off again and weld it on again. Okay, so this is where we're at, right? So we had this flange welded on here, and once we had it all good and perfect, then what we realized was that the actual exhaust, remember I said that we were going to just eyeball it because a few mils was going to be fine. Yeah, a few mils was not fine, and we ended up going completely skew on the car. We then also realized that we were hitting the actual underside of the car with this section of the pipe. So what we went and did was cut off the old flange and then cut off the flange from, as well as a bit of the exhaust from the old exhaust setup, right? I went through and actually did it correctly this time, right? So I cut it off, I bolted it up, I marked it everywhere, had this pipe in place, marked it on here, and then brought it all back off, tacked it, tested again, and now it actually looks like we're finally in the right place. So I'm gonna go and weld this up now, and then we can finally get this exhaust mounted after so long. Even though I'm actually starting to love the way the car sounds without it, we'll see. Maybe we'll make one where we can just run it straight out the fender because it sounds awesome. But yeah, let me get this welded up and then we can carry on from there. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see, but the front portion of the exhaust is actually in. So since I didn't film it, I will show you guys a picture over here now. You guys can see what we did was we basically welded it and then I grinded it down a bit. It's definitely not the prettiest weld, but is it close? No, it's not close to pretty either. It's not close to perfect, but they will work, and that is very important. Hopefully they're going but let's get this back on the video, and then we can see how it sounds, because I kind of like it. So let's go. Sounds pretty good. Kind of more of a fan of the old noise without the exhaust just because it's obnoxiously loud. But I think that's going to cause a problem. You'll think that's going to make a noise. So let's hang this currently. I mean, the exhaust is currently touching this toe hook, so I'm assuming that's going to rattle. But we'll see how that goes. It sounds like there's a rattle coming from the front. I don't hear any leaks, which is good. But there is the rattle coming up on the front, so we're going to take off that heat shield that's normally around the cat. I'm assuming that's what's vibrating, so let's pull that off and let's see if that makes a difference. Okay, so it's the next day, but yeah, we're going on a drive quickly and let's see how she feels and sounds.